Ways to get ahead now in a lot of different areas look different than they did most of our lives.
If it was $4 one day, it's $8 another.
Yeah.
The things that I'm going to need tomorrow, I should be buying today, knowing that they're going to be literally double.
Paper money is based on trust, and people are losing trust in it right now.
There is value there for a period of time when the economy is good, but those are very unsecure. We're talking about survival at this point.
And some of these steps look like you're going backwards, but you're actually just repositioning yourself.
And I almost hit like a depression. I'm going to really, really work hard and be responsible to understand what's going on, and then hit it full face. Today's show actually comes from a recent experience of ours that we think is extremely relevant right now, given the times that we're in. It's actually at a local, I guess I'm not going to say the name, so at a local burger joint that actually just opened, so it's very, very new. And yeah, we had some very interesting experience there, given to the cost of things and how prices are definitely going up.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. So we decided that we were going to try out this new local burger shop, and we don't eat fast food very often, but sometimes we decide to treat ourselves. So, this flashy new place, we decided, let's go ahead and check it out. I wasn't with you. You went through the drive-through and picked out, I think it was 4 burgers.
I think it was 4, maybe, 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5. And it's like a slider burger, so like the smaller burgers. Anyways, the total...
They're tiny.
They were smaller than what I thought they were going to be, actually.
Very small. I'm talking like mini sliders.
Yeah, they were like mini sliders. And the total when you got home was about $20 for these little sliders. And I just
thought... I think it was about 18 and change.
Yeah. To me, I just 20 flashed in my mind.
We can round it up pretty much.
And I just can't believe it. And they weren't even that good. When you pay for something and then you all of a sudden justify what the price really should be? Well, that was the case with those burgers, because I literally said, you know what? I don't need to have this again, because it's not good for the price.
Yeah.
If it was, it was ridiculous. And then it just really reminded us that, I don't want to bash fast food, but the way things are going, the price of food, the quality of food, the way our money is just being debased every single day, the currency here in America, it's just not worth it anymore. So that is just an example of, over the past several months, you can see how little your dollar is actually getting you nowadays.
Yeah, exactly. So basically that's the whole inflation scenario, right? Your dollar your purchasing power is getting basically eroded. So you're paying more for less, not even just the same, but less. So it's something that, it is affecting all of us. There's not really any way to escape it necessarily. Well, to escape the world that we live in. And there are solutions, but that's what we're going to talk about today, is a little bit more the importance of hard assets, to be able to, just what you were saying about your purchasing power goes not as far as it once was. When we were kids, the cup of coffee was probably a lot cheaper back then than it is now. So
25 cents.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of what brings us to the topic today. So
right, and hard assets, it's not just precious metals. There's a lot of other things that can be considered hard assets.
Assets is anything from land to cattle to
anything that has so many different things.
Anything that has tangible value is a hard asset. Anything that's usable in the real world, that's a tangible asset.
Yeah. So given that, I also know that you're really passionate for real money. How did this come about?
Oh gosh, many ways, I guess. I guess we could start a little bit about explaining, once I really understood history a little bit better, understanding different empires and how their currencies has failed. For example, I think it's the Roman Empire in the 3rd century, I believe it is, that they were going through a lot of military spending, just like kind of we are. And
sounds familiar.
Yeah, right. They slowly started to take away some of the silver from their denarius. So, which caused everybody that had savings to literally get to be worthless. Basically, they went back to like an old school barter system. That it's very inefficient, of course. It's not as modernized as we have it today, not as efficient. But they went back, those who actually thrive went back and moved to the countryside.
Interesting.
Yeah, and bought land and cattle and everything that that was necessary for life to survive. We're talking about survival at this point.
Right.
So, and that's been repetitive. I mean, Zimbabwe happened the same thing in 2008. They had hyperinflation to the point that I think theirs was, I don't know how they compare, but I know that theirs were like extreme. That I read an article that basically their money was devalued double every day. So meaning that cup of coffee that I was just talking about, if it was $4 one day, it's $8 another.
Yeah.
So you realize real quick, it doesn't take a rocket science to really, really realize that, hey, we need to make a move now into certain things. Whatever I can buy today that's cheaper than I'm going to need, the things that I'm going to need tomorrow, I should be buying today, knowing that they're going to be literally double. So you quickly go out when they're taking wheelbarrows full of cash just to buy a newspaper. It doesn't really make sense. You don't want to hold on to that. So understanding that first, I think, was a big epiphany for me to like really, really realize that like, oh gosh, we're kind of, things have not changed. Centuries have passed, but we are still kind of in that, you know, Nixon in 1971 took the gold standard off the dollar. So we're kind of in that same boat. And so I think that's kind of where it started. Just a curiosity of kind of what's going on, hearing the trends, all that good stuff. And then also studying a lot of, I'm going to mention Mike Maloney. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. He really helped me out back in about 2018-ish is kind of where I started to kind of dabble into this.
Yeah.
And
I remember we were watching all those videos.
Yeah.
I wasn't into it. He would just be watching them. And
yeah.
I was like, oh.
Very passionate. I still remember going to the library and studying it, writing down every ounce of information. I think that he's got a series called The Hidden Secrets of Money, I think it's called, something like that.
I can't affirm what it is, but I do. I know what you're talking about.
And it's really, really good. There's episodes that he goes even in different countries explaining what money is, what it was, what it is today, how it functions, the value, what is true money. And
I need to watch that again.
Yeah, it's really, really good. It's good. Anybody that's newer to this is absolutely broken down in a very simplistic way to be able to understand what is going on. It's not super complicated. It's just broken down in a very simple way, going through history, seeing where we're at today. So, but yeah, so, and then to answer your question more directly, I think along with that understanding, I think it's the idea of the amount of sacrifice I think that you do to be able to get savings. Meaning, before we were even married, you know, I did a job that I really didn't like and exhaustive schedule that was just out of this norm to be able to, it was in the oil industry anyway, to be able to accumulate quite a bit of savings. And I did that for years, to the point of when I was 26 years old, you know, I was just basically just working and I almost hit like a depression. So I think where I'm going with that is the idea of when you work really, really hard for your money and it's not given to you, then you're really, really diligent where that money goes and how it's spent. So, or retain it, right? So I think that's the basis of it. Is the same thing. If a young kid were to get a vehicle from their parents, if that vehicle is given, they may take it for granted a little bit. You know, they may not wash it as you know, as often as they should, or take care of it or be diligent. However, if you spend 2.5 to 4 years working
for that vehicle,
putting overtime, working your butt off because you want that vehicle so bad, trust me that when you get it, you're going to be a lot more diligent. How many times you clean it, you know, how many times you park further, how many times you park further away, you know, from maybe in the Walmart parking lot, you isolate yourself somewhere. So I think that for me drives the passion. Just knowing what I've been through, and I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to let foolish actions or foolish lack of understanding of money to be able to erode everything that I've worked so hard for, right? I'm going to really, really work hard and be responsible to understand what's going on and then hit it full face.
Yeah.
So,
and that takes intentionality, right? Because today we're living in a world that there's so much distraction.
Yeah.
I mean,
big time.
You know, so to really try to find understanding, you know, learn more about real money, hard assets that are going to actually really benefit you later on, how to protect your wealth, that does take a lot of intentionality. You know,
it's not going to happen by itself.
It's not taught in schools. Not everybody learns it at home as a child. And then as an adult, we have so many things that are always bombarding us that unless you really sit down and you are intentional with your time, you may not know or understand these types of things.
And it goes back to our first episode. We talked about, you mentioned this, talking about education. It goes back to educating yourself, because I didn't know about gold, and like, to me that was just foreign. But until I educated myself to understand, like, oh wow, there's something to this. When I start seeing that my payments are getting higher, utility bills are getting higher, my cup of coffee once again is getting higher, I'm starting to see, like, okay, is there a way out of this? Like, kind of what's going on? You start studying, you realize you actually do something about it, you educate yourself, and then from that education you make wise choices. So yeah, absolutely, it takes intentionality.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then also, just, sticking on the point really quick about money, we are right now in an inflationary environment. We're not, thank goodness we're not in hyperinflation, but
it's around the corner.
We are in an inflationary environment. And we know that inflation steals the value of your money, so if you're just saving money right now, it's your value is being lost all the time. Not in the same pace that it would in hyperinflation, but it still is right now. So it's an issue. It's an issue.
Yeah. The way you can see it is anything that can be duplicated by literally printing paper or pushing a button. Anything that can be duplicated without actual labor can be inflationary. It's that simple. Anything that if I can push a button and duplicate something, it can be inflationary.
Absolutely.
If it doesn't have, and then there's different characteristics. It has to have store of value. There's so many different aspects of what an asset actually is, but definitely our red flag should be when we can just print dollars just on the printing press, on the touch of a button. That puts us in a very dangerous situation. So
which is basically what has happened very recently, and it's probably going to be happening again now.
Yeah, it's been happening for a while, but
but they're gonna potentially, get really back at the QE coming up. So, of course, those are all just fun things to look forward to in 2026 and beyond.
Yeah.
All that being said, with inflation that's happening, and money, paper money is based on trust, and people are losing trust in it right now, and it's losing value. What do you think people should be doing right now?
Yeah, it's kind of what I tell everybody. I mean, I'm pretty passionate about this, but I would say get out of everything pretty much that's, and I say this because of the fact that most people are in that category. Okay, so just kind of like a heads up is try to get out of everything that's paper or digital. So meaning, I call it paper promises, right? Meaning, stocks, bonds, ETFs, all that stuff. It's kind of like, there's value there for a period of time when the economy is good, but those are very insecure when things get bad and the economy goes south. So I would say to people to try to get out of everything digital or paper, and again, going to our subject matter is to buy actual hard assets. So meaning, the first one I can think of is just shelter. It's the roof over your head. People could argue, oh, it's water, it's this, it's that. I would just argue that the most simplistic thing to have protection and sovereignty over yourself is to have your roof over your head paid off. Now, I know that's a big feat, right? It's having a mortgage paid or a house paid, and given the cost of housing nowadays. But there's so many different ways to go about it, and I just think we're in a modernized world that cannot live with less, and we're so adapted to try to follow the Joneses that it's very hard to think outside of the box. So what I mean by that is, for example, it could be to save up and buy a piece of land. It's not that difficult for people to move from California to somewhere in Arkansas or Oklahoma or anywhere else in the Midwest that is extremely cheap or affordable. Buy an acre, maybe a half an acre, wherever you can start. That's not that expensive. We're talking maybe $15,000 to $20,000, $30,000. You can find something. Now, what would it take to get there? That's an achievable goal for most people. Even if you're having just an average wage, that's still achievable. You could say, yeah, but how would I? I'm in debt or this or that. The thing is, there's sacrifices that need to be made. The example that I like to give is a lot of people would not even think of moving back with their parents as adults, moving back with their parents, have 2 kids, and going and asking mom and dad, hey, can I move back in? Because I would really like to save for a house, a property, you name it, right? It doesn't have to be, obviously, we're not talking about a big mansion here. You're going to live back with your parents. But for most people, there's too much pride and there's too much, again, following the Joneses. If you're renting in a big house and you're trying to get to that point and actually have ownership over something, then it's very difficult to be able to do that. So I tell people, yes, you should. Absolutely, you should. As long as it's okay with mom and dad and everybody's in agreement with it. But to look at the outside world and to feel that you're going to get judged because you're going to go live back with mom and dad, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think do what you have to do to put yourself in a better position financially. And I hate to use the word financially, but yes, it is finances. But to have ownership, so that's very important, to actual own things, right? So in your home is one of the bread and butter, to have shelter, to feed your family, to have a place of refuge that you own and you control. Because if you own it, you control it. You have to be able to control it.
And I just want to say a few things too, like with everything that's going on, we want to try and have more control over our livelihoods. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's the whole point.
That's why shelter is so important, right? Because one of the most expensive things that people pay every single month is the roof over their head. All right.
Mortgage.
And your mortgage, your rent, that is going up every year. Either through property taxes, insurance, or hopefully you don't have an adjustable rate mortgage. But even if you do, that's another issue, right?
Yeah, it's horrible right now.
And then you have the rental crisis that's going on. Landlords are just increasing rent, and some for good reason because their expenses increase. So it's like a trickle down effect. Others is out of greed.
Yeah.
So your shelter, your dwelling is typically one of the most expensive things that you'll be paying every single month. So if you can gain more control over that by, yes, either paying off your mortgage, by figuring out a place where you can buy land and build a dwelling on there, put an RV, a mobile home, build a shed to home. There's all kinds of alternative living situations that you can do, depending on the state, the county, and so on. It does take some research, but that's another option to explore. The other thing, just like you said, is, hey, maybe I can't do those things right now, but what I can do is say I'm going to go and live with a family member, because at least with that, you can have some kind of agreement between the family members and secure what you are paying every single month, what your contribution is. So this can look different for everybody.
Yeah, because even if you don't have, I'll just say this, even if you don't have a family member, you could also do that with friends. You can mimic that however fits
and it gets harder, I understand. It depends on, if you're from one location and you have a real good friend, otherwise sometimes it can be hard to find people to trust. But the point of the matter that we're trying to make is that whatever it is for you, try and do that.
Yeah.
You were giving examples about, if you're in California, for example, and you want a cheaper place to live, maybe you're not happy in California, okay, you can go and maybe pick up and move to the Midwest. Maybe for some people that doesn't seem very feasible. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe it seems far reach because their job. A lot of people are locked down because their job, or maybe it's children arrangement because maybe there's a divorce. Like there's a lot of things that a lot of times will keep people in certain places. So we're just sharing ideas, different types of things to get you thinking, or at least revisiting certain options, certain thoughts. Not everything is going to apply to everyone. Not everybody wants to do certain things. Not everybody can do certain things. So we don't want to be not mindful of that or insensitive to that. We're just sharing different options and ideas because
we're looking to inspire and to convict to be able to move forward,
and
so
these
that
are all,
people are not suffering.
Yeah, and we're talking about things that we've done. We've done, I think, all of these things, really.
Everything.
Literally have left California, went to the Midwest.
And I was just going to say, before we even met, you said, it might not be feasible to live with friends. If I were to say how many friends I actually lived with to save a buck before we were married.
Yeah, you were also in your hometown with people that you knew.
No.
Or no, actually, no, you were.
Traveled all over the country.
He is just a little free bird, and you'll go do all those things.
Yeah, I think he's forgetting a little bit.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't do the things that you did.
Yeah.
Now maybe out of a point of desperation or whatnot.
Right,
But
right.
anyways, we're getting off topic. All I wanted to say is that these type of decisions are not easy decisions.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, they're sacrifices.
Correct.
And everybody has different levels of sacrifices. And it's determining what that is for you, because to be able to secure shelter for yourself that is affordable, that is manageable, whether it's debt-free or, again, just manageable, is going to be so helpful, especially in this inflationary environment that we find ourselves in. And with the way rent prices and everything is going to be going up, start thinking about those things now if you're not already. Start working towards those things, even if it takes you a couple years to be able to make some of these transitions. There's no better time to start than now.
Yeah.
You know, the best time to have done it was yesterday, and the next best time is today, you know, or however that saying kind of goes. So yeah, I just want to say that.
And I'll just add, like, I would rather, I'm going to give an example. It's just, again, commitment to sacrifice to get the goal. So I would rather leave my skyrise or my apartment, comfortable living, California, Florida. It doesn't have to be those states. It could be New York, Boston. It doesn't matter. I'm just using examples of high cost areas. I would rather leave that lifestyle, go to the Midwest, buy an RV for $10,000, have ownership and control over that RV in a bad time than living cushiony in a beautiful place or not. It doesn't matter.
I would too.
And not have control over if rent goes up. If the landlord says tomorrow we're raising rent 50%, 25%, what does that look like? Versus if I'm just paying lot rent somewhere, that could be $300 to $500 depending where you are. That is super feasible, that you could pretty much, you know, go on the weekend and go do a side hustle to be able to make ends meet for that. So there are solutions. It's just, I really think people are so modernized in this day and age that we need to have the house. I need to have that car. And people are not willing to make those sacrifices. So if you really want to get ahead, there's intentionality, and there's sacrifices that need to be
ways
made.
to get ahead now, in a lot of different areas, look different than they did most of our lives. You know, it's like it's different steps now. And some of these steps look like you're going backwards, but you're actually just repositioning yourself so that you can continue to go forward. And it, you know, not everybody sees it like that, but
also look at the influence of, just look at, if you go to any new development as far as housing development, a lot, not all, but a lot of these developments are 2,000, 2,200, 2,500 square foot homes that are getting developed that you think, hey, those are there for rent. That's the new standard. Versus if you look at back in the 50s and the 60s and 70s, the size of the homes were not nearly as big as what they are now. So the influence,
and they had bigger families.
Yeah, absolutely. 6 kids in less than 1,000 square foot home. So that's where I'm saying we're trying to keep up with the trends. And if you can, great. But if you can't, then that's where it lies, the problem. We're thinking too much narrow-sighted in the past 100 years, what's been going on, or 50 years.
Because times have been good.
Yes.
Times have been easy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but people are waking up. People are waking up and they're saying, you know what?
Yeah.
This is not equaling up anymore. This is not working. This is not working now, and it's not going to work in a year from now if it keeps going down this path.
Yeah, they're frustrated.
So
they want to make changes. They want to see their dollar go further, and they want to be able to live some sort of a quality of life with all the hard work and efforts that they put in on a day-by-day basis. So
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and that, you know, is again one of the main reasons why we are currently living where we're living, because the cost of living, what we're able to afford here and work towards our goals of being debt-free, staying debt-free, all of that, we wouldn't be able to easily do the same thing in other states.
No.
You know, there's other states that we've looked at before that we were very interested in. And in fact, I swear it feels like we've almost been to every single state in the United States, looking at land and homes and everything. And we'll be doing an episode on that, I'm sure. But we're here for many different reasons, and being able to secure shelter and find land and land that we can do what we want on. That's a big reason why we're here in this state of Oklahoma. You know, and there's other states that you can do the same thing, but it's a big reason why.
To add on too, that's been a pattern since we were married. So just to make that clear, we've always lived either, you know, below our means, the standards of living where our houses were. I mean, it's way less than what we could have.
Yeah.
But we chose to make that sacrifice. So we're not...
Anywhere we went, it's always the same thing.
Yeah,
we're always trying to, you know, well, how can I live cheaper over here? And
Right. Like it's hacking. You know? So, but that's been a pattern of life. So that's
a lifestyle.
A lifestyle, exactly what I was going to say. So it's not just a one-time thing, oh, we're doing it now. It's been a pattern. And I just want to share that with the audience, that it's been a pattern of continuous. And if you keep doing, there comes a point that you can see a little bit more on the horizon that it pays off over time. Because if it doesn't pay off, what's the point? Right? So,
and when you take those steps, it does pay off.
It
does pay off.
It does. But it requires sacrifice, just like we were saying before. And discipline and intentionality.
Yeah, definitely. And one more thing I just wanted to circle back to. I wanted to touch on it earlier, and then I started, I had something else I wanted to say. But also, I just want to say too, in terms of assets, you know, you were saying to get out of certain markets or, you know, stocks and ETFs and all this stuff, you know, all these types of things. There are people that believe in it. There's money to be made in all of these things.
Oh, there's a lot of money to be made.
You know, again, I just want to say we're not financial advisors. We're just sharing our belief system, what we believe in, what we do, what we recommend. But of course, always do your own research. And like I said, we're not financial advisors. So all that being said, if you know, there are people that do believe and value, you know, cryptocurrencies and the stock markets and all that stuff. I'm not saying, and I know you're not either, saying anything against any of those. My standpoint, at least, is...
Okay, let me just touch on cryptocurrency. I just want to say one note on that real quick. Sorry to cut you off, but cryptocurrency is just a whole different animal. Cryptocurrency is decentralized, which is a whole different animal than the banking system that we're currently at, and the Fed and the central banks. So that's a whole different animal. When I said get out of anything paper or digital, that's where cryptocurrency takes a second place. That's a whole different category. I'm not going to neglect that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm actually a fan of cryptocurrency. So I want to make that clear, that that's not what I was talking about. I'm talking about everything else that's in the stocks, and bonds, and in the market, and the stock market. That's what I'm referring to.
And even if, you know, somebody, because I know a lot of people that are very much into the stock markets and all that stuff. Even if that's been like your bread and butter and you full on believe in it, that's okay. That's totally okay. You know, do what your conviction tells you to do. But also, you know, we are just big advocates of exploring these other things that we're talking about, you know, and focusing on other type of assets, because again, it's one thing to really depend, to allow your wealth to depend on some of these systems that are very fragile, versus trying to take more agency over some of these things and look at assets in other types of forms. So that's just something that, you know, we're just passionate about. And we believe it's going to be very helpful, you know, not just hoping that something went up today or down today, you know, but also other things that can really...
I don't want anybody to be playing with my savings.
Let's
just put it like I said earlier.
Inflation's already doing that enough. I mean, it's
exactly.
So
when you work hard enough for your money, you're like, okay, wait a second, I'm going to take control of that. I'm going to make sure that I put it in something that's
to the best of our ability. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So that's all I really have to say on that topic.
I think that kind of covers it.
For now, today.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more to come, obviously. But this was just a quick episode on really encouraging everybody to be able to, if you're in a tough position financially, to be able to leave, you know, the paper assets, I guess, if you will, and, you know, if you want to call them that. But we've been trained, I know, you know, if we look at our parents and our grandparents, that's all that, I'm not going to say that's all they knew, but a lot of people in this generation, that's all they focus on is very much like, what stocks can I put this into? What you know, new tech companies can I? And I would argue, if you don't have ownership over even just your own vehicle, your house, all these things, for me, my suggestion would be to prioritize those things versus taking any additional savings and dumping it into something that, for me, in my worldview, would be speculative. So if you're past that point and you want to take 10, 20% of your savings to be able to do that, then that's fine. But if you're struggling in a point of hardship, as you're seeing inflation killing you and your rents and your utility bills and all these things, this whole thing was just an encouragement to be able to, again, encourage you guys to be able to maybe thinking a little bit differently and pivot from the paper stuff and the paper assets and all these things and put it a little bit more to something tangible that you can actually touch and feel and that has utility in life, like a commodity or whatever the case may be. So, but yeah, just encourage people to switch the focus and
definitely, because as we get closer and closer to 2030, you want to own lots of things,
yes,
and be very happy.
Very much.
So
very much. We do not want to be owning nothing and supposedly being happy.
Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that for this episode. Thank you so much, friends. We appreciate it. If you like this episode, please comment down below. We want to hear from you guys. We'd love to hear suggestions, whatever the case may be. Please subscribe. We're going to be having a lot more content coming out. And yeah, we look forward to the next episode. For now, take care.
Bye. Take care.